different YouTube. Interpretation about with that notification. That way, every time we share videos, so share story of a number of years ago. His wife was diagnosed with sickness, I think, of multiple sclerosis. I'm not really 100% certain on that, but I am sure that she was diagnosed with some type of with a sickness that put her in a position where um, she didn't work, right? And so what he did was he asked her. He said, "How much do you make?" She said, $5,000 a month. He said, "Okay. Um, Now take that $5,000 a month times 12, $60,000." He said, "Now multiply that times 30 is $1.8 million." And he said, "So people want to know how I became the number one sought after speaker in the world. That was because he had a strong why. His why was, I don't want my wife to have to work another day in her life. $5,000 a month. Now she couldn't work. He didn't want her to worry about that or have concerns about money. $5,000 a month times 12, $60,000 times 30, $1.8 million. He's working towards that $1.8 million. And so that's his why. But what's your why? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? What causes you to move in the direction that you're moving in? Why do you make the decisions that you make? Let's just talk about career wise, where you are. I looked at some of the demographics for a large percentage of the individuals that follow this YouTube channel. 75% are young men between the ages of 18 and 25. And another large portion of young men between the ages of like 25 and 34, I think it is. And that's the generation that I want to talk to. That's the generation that I'm passionate about, that I'm pursuing, that I'm educating. My son falls in that age range, and I'm having conversations with them constantly. Hey, man, don't poor people live day to day. Middle class people live week to week. Um, upper class people can live 6 months or year to year. Influential people can live can live 10 years to 10 years, decade to decade. But wealthy people, they think generation. And so as you're 18 to 25, or you're 24 to 35 in that range, what's the end game look like for you? Let's just have a conversation. What does the end game look like for you? Is it putting notches on my belt, seeing how many women I can score? I don't know what the young people are calling it today. Is it I see how many young ladies I can get and date and sleep with. There's more to life than just that. I want you to understand that God has a plan for your life, and inside of that plan is fulfillment. He, my desire, my goal, my call, my assignment, my mission in life is to get people excited and passionate about things that they can't see. That's my goal. That's part of my why. The other part of my why is for my wife and for my family. I am committed to the idea of creating buckets and pools and multiple streams of income because I'm thinking about my children's children. They don't have kids yet. But God has the plan for your life. The Bible says, in Genesis chapter 1, it said, let us make man after our image, after our likeness, let him have fish, dominion over fish of the sea, fowls of the air, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. God said, let us make man in our image. Listen, if I were to ask you, is there anyone greater than more value than God? And I'm talking to those that believe in God. Of course, you would say God. Well, if you're made in the image and you're made in the likeness of God, then that means you have value. So you are your greatest asset. And so as you look at what you want to accomplish, what's your generational goal? What's the legacy? What does it look like? Have you thought about your legacy? I heard a pastor, as a matter of fact, my pastor said this, Apostle Mike Freeman from Faith City Central. Listen, man, if you are within a 300-mile radius of the DC metro area, I want you to come visit us. Apostle Mike Freeman, he's the senior pastor, and he said, don't let the family you came from impact the family that comes from you. Think about that. Don't let the family that you came from impact the family that comes from you. I can tell my story, right? My story is my parents got divorced when I was like, I don't know, man, I was like 8 or 10 years old, and 8 or 9 years old. My parents got divorced, and I'll never forget the day that I found out that my parents got divorced. I'll never forget the day. It was a Saturday afternoon. I remember the sun was on the right side of my head, and my mom had a nightstand on the left side of the bed, and at the bottom of the nightstand is a door that opened up where she stored paperwork, etc. And so I'm just being a kid, and I'm nosy. I'm going through paperwork in her bedroom, and I take out this brown envelope, right? And I open the envelope up, and I didn't know at the time, but it was the divorce decree paperwork. I think that's what they call it. But anyway, so I took the paper to my mom. I said, Mom, what does, and I couldn't even pronounce the word. I said, Mom, what does I was trying to decide, what does divorce mean? She got mad, snatched the paper from my hands, and then I tell you about going or whatever, blah, 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 right? I didn't understand the impact of that. And so at 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old, my parents get a divorce. Our quality of living went from here to here. Government cheese, food stamps, the whole 9 yards. I remember that there were times during the winter where, because my mom couldn't afford to put oil in, and back then we had a furnace that operated on oil. Now we have furnaces that are operated by electric or gas, but there was a furnace that burned oil, and it was a 120-gallon oil tank, and I think it was like $3 or something like that a gallon. I don't know what it was, but anyways, it was more than what my mom had. So there were times in the wintertime where my mom couldn't afford to put oil in the tank, and so she had these kerosene heaters that she would place throughout the house. And at night, my brother and I slept on the floor in my mom's bedroom because that was the only place that was warm because there was no heat in the house during the winter. I can remember times when the gas was turned off and it came time for us to take a bath. And so we had to boil water on the stove in these large kettle pots, boil the water on the stove, carry the water up to the second floor, pour the water in the tub, go back down, fill it up. And how many know understand that once you do that a couple of times, by the time you're ready to take a bath, the water's no longer hot? There were times when the electric was turned off and we're eating supper by candlelight. And I'm just talking to you. And those things impact me as a young man. And so when I make the statement, don't let the family that you come from impact the family that comes from you. Now, my children, my kids, my children, and then their children, I'm committed to doing things differently. So the Bible says in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, he said, my people, not another people group. The Bible says, my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge. My people, not another people group, but my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge, the scripture says. God says, my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge. Listen, friends, there isn't a shortage of money. There isn't a shortage of resources. And there certainly isn't a shortage of ideas or information in the earth. And in fact, some can refer to this technology age, the information age, where you can use artificial intelligence and you can, and I do it on a daily basis. I use artificial intelligence to create the content, to create the articles, create the cell training, things that I do. So there's information out there. But what I want to encourage you tonight to do is I want you to get a little notebook and I want you to write down what are 3 things that you want to accomplish with your life. I want you to write at the end of your life, what are some things that people are going to say about your life? Let's just start with that. At the end of your life, what will people say? Just imagine that there's a eulogy of your funeral. And what are they going to say about you? So we got to start thinking beyond this day-to-day, this paycheck-to-paycheck lifestyle. We have to begin to intentionally change our thinking, change our mindset about how and what we do. I'm doing a 28-day challenge on Zoom, via Zoom. And anyone can participate in it. And if you want to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to drop a link in the description below. And as a 28-day Faith Towards God challenge, and every day there's an assignment, there's a 28-day calendar that goes with it. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have what we call power sessions. And during these power sessions, I have industry leaders who are talking about money. Like tonight, we had Mr. Broderick Young, and for about an hour, he shared with us on how wealth is generated, how to create these buckets of sources and multiple streams of income, how to protect our asset, how to protect you. You are the most valuable person, right? You say God is the most valuable person, and you're made in the image of God. The Bible says, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So if I'm made in the image of God, and if God is the most valuable thing, then I have to see myself as the most valuable asset in my life. And what am I doing with this life? Are you thinking about the next generation, your kids' kids, your children's children? Like, it's more than just grinding and just getting assets and getting stuff and getting nice cars and living in big houses. That all those things are fine, and I'm not knocking you for it, and I do it myself, right? But there's a life that's beyond the assets, and that is the legacy. So what's your why as it relates to where you're going and how you're going to get there? Now, I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about that tonight, because the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. The wealth of the sinner, the wicked, is laid up for the just. And so we are intentional about what we do. And I'm intentional about encouraging you to begin to think about how you want to live your life. Myron Golden said that most people will work hard doing something that they know doesn't work to prevent them from working hard at doing something that they know will work. So focus on the next generation. Focus on where you want to be. Start with the next 6 months. Where do you plan to be? What type of intelligence? What type of information? Spiritually, where are you going to be 6 months from now? Physically, your health. Where do you want to be 6 months from now? Have you thought about purchasing a home, or and depending on your age and if this your first home, your first house can be an investment, right? One of the things looking back on my life, and when I started a family, I was in my early 20s and I had an opportunity to buy a house. But because I wasn't in the right environment, I had people talk me out of buying a house. And I look back on that. My wife and I, we've been married for 35 years. So that was like 35 years ago. And I looked at the investments of homes that we have purchased, and we've had opportunity to buy homes and rent them out. And at one point, a number of years ago, we had 5 homes. And I sat down the other day and I said, you know what? If I would have been in the right place mindset wise and begin to think beyond living week to week, month to month, 6 month to 6 month, and begin to think in terms of generation, by now we probably would have owned somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 or 40 homes. But it's okay. So you start where you're at, right? So now I'm pursuing buying multifamily units, at least 40 units or more. Don't let the family that you come from impact the family that comes from you. Tonight, make some decisions, make some choices. Decide on the man, the woman that you're going to be, and then begin to take steps towards that. Now, if you need to connect with someone, you need to get someone in your corner. Hey, listen, in the comments, just say, contact me. I don't mind sharing some of my time with you, connecting with you offline. If I can be a resource for you to consider encouragement, because you are your greatest asset. You are your greatest asset. And so I'm just encouraging you to go after it. I'm encouraging you, don't let the family that you come from impact the family that comes from you. Begin to think legacy. Don't think paycheck to paycheck. Stop living paycheck to paycheck. Stop living beyond your means. Stop spending more than you make, and start focusing in on how can I live off 50 or 60% of my income and start massively investing the rest. Massively investing the rest. So listen, if you found content, you found some value in this, like, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then hit that notification button. That way we make sure whenever we post videos, you get the videos, you get the updates. I appreciate it, man. Listen, in the Motivated Podcast Show, we always say less, but we definitely believe for more. Let's get it.